Hello and welcome back to the Pulse with Willie and Al. How you doing, Al?
Man, living the dream today. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing well, man. I'm glad we are bringing the fans our episode 15, the Gold Zone today. Al, why don't you let the kids know what this is?
Well, I we didn't talk about last on our last episode. We wanted to shout out Nathaniel Hackett. He's caught a lot of shit this offseason from Sean Payton, and the Jets went in and took care of business, and it was just good to see. And he's notorious for calling the red zone the gold zone, and he's also obsessed with the movie Goldmember, which I think he might be the one person in America that's obsessed with that movie.
Absolutely. Well, listen, you can call him Nathaniel Hackett. I'm going to call him Chrissy Hackett after the Jim Rome, Jim Everett episode. So, but yeah, definitely a great one to be talking about, and I love it because he showed up, they showed out, and they were able to get the win. So it was very
Sure did.
interesting. So congrats to him. Very happy for him. So, but let's jump into it. We have two big Sunday games to break down for you guys today. But before we do, make sure you smash that subscribe button and like the video. If you have something to say it with your chest and let us know. All right, let's jump in now. We The first game we'll discuss is Seattle at Cincinnati, and this is kind of an interesting one because Seattle's getting 3 points. The over/under is 45 and a half. And Seahawks have been riding a three-game win streak into this. They come off the bye, so they should have been well rested and healthy and stuff. But let's start off by talking about Geno Smith. Is he a guy, or what's the deal here with him?
Yeah, no, he does just enough for this team. They have a great running backs, they have great receivers, and he's an overqualified game manager. That's what he is. And frankly, Seattle paid him that much this offseason, which it was really good to see him get paid. He won comeback player of the year last year. He's got them in a good position now. I think he's the guy in Seattle. I do. I think they really, and especially those fans, they love him, they respect him, they appreciate him. I think after the whole Russell Wilson thing, they were so tired of that they just got a guy in Geno Smith that just a regular dude.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it, he doesn't have great stats this year so far. I mean, yeah, he ended up playing hurt in that in the Giants game, so he got taken out a little bit early there, came back and stuff. But
Yeah.
the big thing for me is he's not turning the ball over, and that's the sign of a good quarterback in this league. Even you're seeing guys come in as rookies and being able to do it like CJ Stroud. It's so important that you don't turn the ball over.
Yeah. And he's also too, he's completing 68% of his passes, which is just insane. He's taking what the defense gives him a lot of times, and that doesn't always result in big stats. A lot of times they take away the deep ball with Metcalf, so he's got to throw the underneath stuff, and he's only at 7 yards per completion, which isn't great, but it's getting the job done. So I can't really complain.
It definitely is, and he's getting enough time with those tackles. I mean, they're don't forget Charles Cross, their left tackle that they've got. He came. They were able to draft him with that pick from the Russell Wilson trade. I know he's still questionable. He's been out. I'm pretty sure he played week one and hasn't played since then. But or maybe it was the first 2 weeks that he played. But I look on the other side. You got Jake Curran. He missed the start of the season, but he started the last three, and having both of them back is going to be a big deal for him because they were basically the two guys they were able to ride, through into the playoffs last year.
Yeah, well, as of right now, it looks like 60% of their offensive line is questionable, um, which isn't great. But if you're going to play, Cincinnati's a team where their defensive line doesn't really worry me. So I think they're going to be okay. And I think with that, I think this line's going to be able to dominate. And I think you're going to see a big day from Kenneth Walker. I think that's what you're really going to see from them.
Yeah, I mean he's been great for me in fantasy this year, and he's kind of been the engine that could for this team, especially with Jackson Smith and Jigba's gotten off to kind of a slow start. I know they drafted him with the first round pick, but he just hasn't really shown out yet. Maybe it takes a little bit sometimes for some rookies, and he's definitely
Yeah.
very talented. But Kenneth Walker has been the guy that's really and he's not a uh, he's not like some of these backs in the NFL that are going to average like 6 yards a carry right out of the gate. This guy is more Derrick Henry-esque back, where as he gets more carries during the game, he starts to wear defenses down and gets better with that. And he's always got the chance to be able to break a big run, which is very, very beneficial for this team. So I expect a big day out of him too. I just don't think
Yeah.
Cincinnati has enough on defense to be able to keep him on the ground. So, but what do you think about the other side? You know, you got Cincinnati there. It seems like they're playing a little bit better now with Burrow. He's starting to look like himself again. What do you see out of them?
This was the first. Last week was the first time where he was planting and he could actually make throws, and it showed because he was just. First of all, he was just throwing it to Jamar Chase all the time, and honestly, that's a great strategy. I can't fault that. When Jamar Chase is getting 15 for 192 and 3 touchdowns, like who am I? Who am I to argue that logic?
Right.
But he had that scramble, which I think was really important because I don't think he was able to do that to start the season. I just don't think he was like healthy enough, and I really think this was the week he got healthy. And if Burrow is healthy, watch out. Like
Yeah.
that's why like I'm not super worried still about Cincinnati, but like they have an uphill climb. They do. If they're gonna want to make the playoffs and win the division, big uphill climb because this division and the AFC North this year is weird. It's a weird division, and like everybody's kind of the same really, which is kind of weird. But yeah, they're gonna have to. Burrow's gonna have another big game, and I think it starts with Chase as well. He needs to have another huge game against these guys.
Yeah, just two things real quick. I think it hurts not having Higgins there, right? Like he was nursing the rib injury, and those are always kind of I don't know. You see something similar. I know it's not ribs with Amon-Ra St. Brown, but like it's abdominal. Any of those midsection injuries are kind of difficult for receivers to deal with and be able to do what they need to do, right? Extend up, catch the ball, bring it in and stuff. Anytime you get hit in the ribs, it's just going to re-aggravate that. So
Yeah,
I definitely think they will miss him because he's a little different than Chase, where Chase is kind of a after the catch type receiver. Higgins is that guy that can catch the ball 40 yards down the field. So I think they will miss him, but I think the way Seattle plays defense bodes well for Cincinnati because they're giving up a lot through the air. They don't give up a lot on the ground, but they're a bend but don't break type defense, and I
yeah,
think Burrow can go in and really exploit a defense like that. So I look for it. I know, listen, I know Seattle's got some good players on defense too. They drafted that rookie Witherspoon, I think it is, at cornerback, and he's started to come
yeah.
into his own. But I just, the way I see it, I definitely see Cincinnati dominating in this game. I think I mean, don't mistake. I think what Seattle needs to do is run the ball effectively, and we talked about that with Kenneth Walker to keep Burrow off the field because Burrow is that kind of Brady-esque, Manning-esque guy that you don't want him on the field. So the way the way you beat a team like that is you run the ball well and you
Yeah.
keep him off the field. So I think that's what Seattle has to do. I just don't know if it's going to be enough against this Cincinnati team.
I think that also I think to go back a second, I think the key with Cincinnati, I think Tyler Boyd has to have a big game. He
Yeah,
does like because all the attention is going to be on Chase, and if Higgins plays, he's not gonna he's going to be at what best like 70%. So he's not. I don't think he's going to really be that effective. So a lot of it's going to have to fall on Tyler Boyd,
yeah,
and you know we'll see. Like he would be a great receiver on any team, but he's like the third option here, and he's going to have to really step up for
yeah.
Cincinnati to have a really good chance to win.
I definitely think so. That's I couldn't agree more with that. So what do you have? How do you have this game ending up?
I had this game, Cincinnati winning 27-21.
27-21. So I have
Yeah.
Cincinnati winning 28-24. I think it's going to be close too. And I just think both teams they've got good offenses. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't be a close game. The defenses aren't what stand out in this game to me, so I definitely think that's a fair score for both of us to be able to put forward on this. Um,
Right.
all right, well let's move on real quick. And one last thing before we do move on from that is the idea of the protection of Burrow, that whole narrative. I'm wondering if that's going to start to change because it doesn't seem like it has. And I feel like that's something that still kind of follows him around year after year after year. Even last week, I know I was, and again, I want to move on, but just this needs to be mentioned about the game in Arizona. They gave up 3 sacks, but he was also hit 4 times. in addition to that. And I think it just shows like they're still not doing what they need to protect him, right?
No. Yeah, in Seattle, I know they have the bend but don't break defense, but they do have guys that can get after the quarterback. And if Burrow's not careful, like this could be a long day for him.
Yeah,
He's gonna have to get the ball out quickly. He
yeah.
is.
Definitely. Well, listen, I didn't want to drag you back down the rabbit hole, but it just something was burning in my mind about that, and I was like, man, I can't move on until I say this. So, all right. So the next game we'll talk about, we got San Francisco at Cleveland. This is another interesting game, but a little more lopsided, and I think we'll dig into part of the reason why that is. But San Francisco's getting 5.5, and the over/under on it's 37.5. So kind of a low-scoring game. But I think part of the reason that we're going to see this, where you have San Francisco favored by 5.5, is not only are they a great team, but there's also a good chance that Deshaun Watson's going to miss again. And if that,
Yeah, he didn't.
yeah,
I was just gonna say with Watson real quick. He didn't practice today, and it doesn't look good for him suiting up this week.
yeah. I mean, ideally, and we could talk about the Browns first, just to get it out of the way. and stuff. But when you have a guy that's guaranteed $250 million, um, yeah, you're not going to have him play hurt. It's too
No.
much risk. You owe him way too much to be able to do that. And the Browns are a team in this division at least. No one's running away with it right now. They've got a chance that if they rest him up 1 or 2 games, they can be the smarter team in this division and really come out of it. Especially with that defense and them running the ball so well.
Yeah, I think this is a game I think Cleveland punts on. To be honest with you, if Watson's not going to play, like it's not going to really matter because San Francisco is just going to do what they want.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like, does it even make sense to risk him? Right? Like, risk the
No,
team, risk any of that. Like, you know how good San Francisco is. You saw what they just did to Dallas, which I guess isn't a big measuring stick, but like this San Francisco team's been destroying everyone in their path. They're a meat cleaver, man. Like they crush everybody. So I don't know if it's worth risking his health in this game. I just don't see it. But um,
I don't either. Yeah,
yeah.
the thing I will say with Cleveland is this is going to be one of the better defenses that San Francisco has played. So I think this is going to be a real test for Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard the comparisons. What do you think of him like overall?
Well, I mean, it gets me kind of, it makes me laugh a little bit when I hear people on ESPN comparing him to Joe Montana. But
Yeah,
I will say, like, if you watch film of him, the guy, he can put the ball in a window, man. Like, he
sure can.
really does. And for a guy that was Mr. Irrelevant, what it makes me really do when I see the way he's able to play is it makes me question how good these teams are at diagnosing how good players are coming out of college. Because
Yeah,
this is a guy, played at Iowa State. He was good there. He's the last pick in the draft, and all of a sudden they turn him into a stud. Dude, he has not lost an NFL game. Like, I know, yeah,
my
okay. I'm just gonna say, like, he lost the NFC Championship game, but, like, he was hurt, man. He got hurt at the
yeah.
beginning. Like, he didn't lose that game. He didn't play. But,
So my favorite stat that I read a while ago
mhm.
was the last time that Brock Purdy lost a game that he like started and finished was 2021 when he played for Iowa State. They lost to Oklahoma, and the starting quarterback for Oklahoma was none other than Caleb Williams.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So there's
yeah,
that.
weird full circle moment. Yeah,
Yeah, so there's that. That's
but also too like
mhm.
yeah, it's insane. Like I just yeah, it's
All right. Now, what happens if Caleb Williams ends up going to Arizona? Which I know it's Arizona's not on his list, but like, and it seems like Arizona's not going to finish with the first pick in the draft, but like, what if they did? And then they had to face off for years to come. That would be so interesting,
oh
man.
man,
What
that'd be
is,
great.
yeah, what a storyline there.
I do want to talk about real quick though, like the stats that Brock Purdy's putting up.
Hmm.
Like it's he first of all, he's completing 72% of his passes. Let's start there. He also hasn't thrown an interception yet this season. He has 9 touchdowns, zero picks. I
Yeah.
he's not gonna like he makes it so that if you're gonna beat them, he's not gonna beat himself. You know what I mean? Like he's not gonna throw like that bad pick. Like he just doesn't do that. He puts his team in the best position to win. And granted, he has a lot of weapons on offense. That helps. That helps every time. But you know what I mean? We've seen guys in this league with all the weapons on offense and just be terrible.
Look at it. Look at it the
Yeah.
other day. I mean, Ravens game, perfect example, right? Like OBJ, Lamar goes to throw to OBJ in the end zone, and like it wasn't even a difficult interception for Porter to make. He just
No,
turned around and snagged it. That was it. Like it
no.
was. I don't know, man. Like the way Purdy's playing, and I hope he seems like a guy that doesn't care about the outside noise at all. And I know a lot of people say like,
No.
"Oh, we don't care about that," but then they're busy reading it on social media and stuff. He really seems like a guy that could care less about that stuff. He just wants to go out and play football, and he's enjoying the ride, man. This guy, he should have no pressure on him because he was expected to do nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And
Yeah.
now he's far exceeding expectations. I think Shanahan's a great play caller. Like he's very, very creative in terms of what he's able to do. He's going to put Purdy in good positions so that he can succeed. And now it seems like he's taken over the playbook and been like, "All right, I got a hang of this now. Let me do my thing." And he's showing it, man.
Yeah, you could tell he's more comfortable with the offense this year. And I know I talked about this last episode, but like I was wrong about him this season because I my big concern was, hey, you're coming off elbow surgery. What's that look like? And I've been wrong. I've been wrong. And you know what? I can admit when I'm wrong, but man, he has just really he's got this team gelling in a way that like honestly, they're scary right now. And I don't know how you beat them. I don't. If everyone stays healthy, like I don't know how you beat them on offense. I don't know how you stop them on offense. And then defensively, good luck. Like
Yeah.
good luck trying to run the ball against these guys. Like or try to throw it with any amount of time.
Well, I mean,
I just don't see it.
You brought it up before, right? Like Joey Bosa I'm sorry, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa. He's like
One of
using,
them Bosas.
yeah, one of them Bosas, right? I'm making the same mistake they were making on Pat McAfee, right? Calling the Watt brothers JJ and TJ. Like
There's so
anyhow.
many of them.
Yeah, there's so
Who's
many of
who's
them.
to say?
They're all good. So
Yeah,
when I look at Nick Bosa, that was your pick for Defensive Player of the Year, right? Yeah,
sure was.
I
Yep.
mean, you just look at what he brings to this offense, but I think what's even crazier to think about, and you see it a little bit, or at least saw versions of it in LA with the Rams, when you have a guy up front like Bosa or Aaron Donald, it frees up the guys behind them. And when you have a linebacker as good as someone like Fred Warner, oh,
Yeah.
it allows him to get free rushes to the quarterback and how fast this guy is. He's unreal, man. Like
Yeah.
I love this
It
team. I really do. They're amazing to watch.
and it's funny too because I his numbers are gonna say that he's had a down year, but I don't think the numbers tell the whole story because of all the playmakers they have on defense. Like he's not the only guy that's getting to the quarterback every play. You know what I mean? Like they have so many guys on defense that like
Yeah.
how do you
Well,
not he's not gonna get a sack every single time. Like
think about this too. And because this does matter and not a lot of people think about this, but like you think about the other team going against Nick Bosa, right? Think about in practice who he gets to go against. Like going
yeah,
against Trent Williams every day, I mean, I'll take him over any other left tackle in the game right now. He's
yeah, oh
he's
absolutely.
that physical. I've seen him literally toss 300-pound men into other men and crush both of them. It's he's unbelievable. He's very, very quick for a man that big, but both of them just make each other better every day. Every
Yeah,
day. So, and when you're on defense playing against this offense, how do you not get better every day?
I
Like
agree.
who are you gonna see that's gonna put up more points? Like so we talk about the Dolphins, right? How fast they are. They have a great offense. Their defense is nowhere even close to what San Francisco is. No,
Yeah.
nowhere even close. Same thing with Buffalo. Well, the Buffalo's had a lot of injuries now. Maybe without the injuries and a healthy Von Miller, maybe they're close. They could hang with them, but I don't even see Philly being able to hang with this team this year.
No. And I think too what needs to be said is their defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz has really done an outstanding job with this defense.
Ah, I may have messed up. So Jim Schwartz is actually the defensive coordinator for Cleveland. So, but
Nope.
this is the issue. Listen, I've made so many mistakes too.
Yeah.
So,
Joey Bosa, Jim Schwartz,
yeah,
we're all, you know,
all of them, right? So,
yeah.
so Swartz, though, the only way that he's going to be able to keep Cleveland in this game is if he gets creative. And I just, like you had said before about Cleveland's defense, Purdy probably hasn't faced a defense as good as this yet this year. I
No.
He's going to have to be uber creative to try to confuse him because Shanahan knows what he's getting into with Jim Swartz. It's not the first time he's ever seen him. Won't be the last, but
Yeah.
don't forget Swartz used to be with the Lions for a number of years. Like this guy's been in the NFL for many years in the way with his defensive mind and his schemes and stuff. Shanahan's going to know what to do against this, or at least have a pretty good idea as to ways to get around it to protect his quarterback. I just don't know if they have enough to do it. I really don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't either. I have a kind of a bigger overall question for you, and I know it's early.
Hmm.
I know it's early, so I hate asking this. Do you think San Francisco could run the table if they stay healthy? Like,
Well,
because I look at their schedule, and Philly and Seattle are the only teams on that schedule that I see that could actually give them real trouble.
so this is what I could see happening because I think going undefeated doesn't do anything for them. They may have enough
No,
talent on this team to just do it, right? Like, but I think teams have learned the lesson of what happened to the Patriots, and that's an unfortunate thing, but you need a little bit of adversity during the season, and
yeah,
I could see this as a team like I don't know. Maybe Shanahan wants to run the table. I don't know. Maybe that's what the players want to do. Of course, they always want to win, but I could see them dropping a divisional game to the Rams or the Cardinals or something and just getting upset. Like it
the Rams do play them tough every time.
yep.
Those games are always nail biters.
Now you've got Cooper Cup back and healthy. Like it's possible,
Yeah,
man. I don't know. I
yeah.
mean, what are your thoughts on it? You think it's possible?
I think if they're going to get tripped up, I think it's going to be a divisional opponent. I think they do play the Rams one more time. They do get the Rams at home on the last week of the season, so it might not even matter at that point. But really, it's either that, and they play Philadelphia at week 13,
Well,
and they go to Philly.
let me ask you this, because regardless of where the game's at, like the teams know each other, right?
Mm.
What would you say if that game happens and Philly crushes San Francisco? Because that would really send my mind into a whirlspin. Like I don't know what I would do, man. Like to think about that, it would be crazy because it would make me question everything they've done, right?
Right.
But
I I don't think that's going to happen. Here's why.
yeah,
I think San Francisco has been looking at this game on the schedule since the schedule came out.
hmm,
I really do. Like they got they got embarrassed last year in Philadelphia. Now, granted, they didn't have a quarterback essentially, which really
yeah.
hurt them. I mean, I think that's as big of a revenge game as you could ask for San Francisco.
I think you're right. Like it's kind of funny. I saw the comments that came out after the Dallas game, and Micah Parsons was like, "Oh yeah, like if we see them again," and Debo responded with like, "Dude, what? Like you see us again? Do you
Yeah,
know how much worse it could be? Like
yeah.
it could have been worse, right? Like,
They,
and
they they pulled Brock Purdy in the early in the fourth quarter of that game.
yeah, I mean, they didn't even need him, right? Like
No,
it's at that point, like they just didn't need any of their starters anymore because it was over. But you're right. I think the way last year ended, because I think it left a very salty taste in their mouth, seeing what Philly was able to do and how they were able to compete in the Super Bowl and knowing how good their team was. Maybe they were 1 year away. Maybe they were going to get beat by the Chiefs anyways, but like I don't know, man. Like to know that you were that close and you heard the guys right after the game. Like they were just like, dude,
Yeah.
our quarterback got hurt. If he didn't, like we would have had a shot.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, and he got
it's
hurt in like the first series of the game.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
real tough
I
to
don't know,
see.
man.
What I can
Yeah.
say is, listen, I'm not a 49ers fan. Like I mean, right, like I cheer for the Colts. Like I was cheering for the Broncos when Manning was there and stuff. But this is a team that I feel like is impossible to hate. Like, how can you dislike them? Like, it's just, I look at the
Yeah.
way they play. I really like Brock Purdy. I think he's an excellent ambassador for football, and I want to see the guy do well. I really do.
The one thing that worries me sometimes, with, and this is with their head coach, with Shanahan, sometimes the thing that worries me is sometimes he gets too cute when he doesn't need to. And I'm just gonna say this, and I know like I think at some point he'll win a Super Bowl, so this will kind of be the furthest thing from people's mind. But until then, like he was the offensive coordinator in the 28-3 game against the Patriots.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it, like you know what I mean. Like every once in a while he gets like too cute with stuff, and
Hmm.
like it almost like feels like sometimes he feels like he needs to prove he's the smartest guy on the field, and it's like, no, we know you're the smartest guy in the field. Like you don't have to prove it. Like so, I think that's the one thing to maybe watch out for. But like he's far enough removed from that I don't think it really haunts him. But like it does need to be said.
Yeah.
So
He's got to try to, I mean, he's been trying ever since to try to expunge that from his record, right? Because that's something you just want to get rid of.
and he also too like let's also talk about in that Super Bowl against the Chiefs, they were up 10 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing that man, it's so tough to play against Patrick Mahomes. I just, I get it, man. Like, I don't, 10 points wasn't safe, 14 points wouldn't have been safe. They could be down 17 and still come back, right? They could be down 3 touchdowns and still come back in the fourth quarter. Like, what I've seen Patrick Mahomes do with 15 seconds, he could do
Yeah,
anything, man. Like, you give him
yeah.
15 minutes, he's gonna do way more. Like, don't count him out. So it's hard for me to really hang that against him. But you're right. Like, you have a lead in a fourth quarter of the last game in the season, you got to be able to get it done.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So what
yeah.
what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, like I think that like I said before, I just think that it just needs like I I don't think that it's on him completely, but it just needs to be said that like every once in a while he gets a little too cute.
Hmm.
We haven't seen it yet this year. That's the thing. Like anytime there's only been one game where it's been close and he's you know what I mean? Like it was the Rams game and they did just enough to survive and win and yeah.
They could
So
have their number next time. It's that's a tough thing because those teams come in looking to knock off the champs and stuff. And you have a tough week where you hit a divisional opponent hard, and then you got to play another divisional game after that. Man, that you're set up for a loss there. It could be tough. So what do you have? What do you thinking this score is going to end up?
I think it's gonna be 31-7 San Francisco.
Oh my God, we were so close, man. I picked
Yeah.
31-9 San Francisco. Yeah, so
Yeah.
close. It's
I just don't see how if Watson's not playing, I don't see how they move the ball on this defense.
yeah. I mean, they could try to run the ball. I just don't think they have enough to be able to compete.
No,
It
if
could
they
get
had Nick
ugly.
Chubb, that'd be one thing, but they don't.
Yeah, it could get real
So
ugly real fast. So, all right. Well, let's move in. Real quick, I just want to touch on Major League Baseball just because we had one of the series end. I know we'll talk more about it and stuff, but I saw, the Rangers ended up winning, swept the Orioles and stuff. What were your thoughts on that?
Nate Eovaldi, man, I watched that guy. I watched that guy pitch for the Red Sox for a few years, and he was just nothing but stellar in that 2018 playoff run. And he last night, what he did 7 innings, 1 run ball. Like, he didn't give Baltimore a chance to even be in this. He didn't. They were up like 5-0 or 6-0 after 2 innings. Texas was, and Evaldi just he didn't even like. There wasn't even a chance for a rally at any point. Like, he had minimal base runners. Like, he was just mowing guys down.
Hmm.
And that Texas crowd too was insane last night. They were just insane. Like, because it was the first time they got to watch playoff baseball in their new stadium. You know?
And that's got to feel good too, right? Like that's
Yeah.
you're able to do it in front of your home fans and stuff. What do you think, like, out of the two teams remaining, that they could face, which one do you think they have a better shot at beating?
Oh, Minnesota's not going to win that series, but they would have a better shot at beating Minnesota than they would Houston.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
Houston, like, that's the kind of the monkey on their back right now. It's like, hey, they blew this division to Houston, and now they're not going to have home field because of that
yeah.
in the ALCS.
Yeah, let's see how it ends up against Houston. That's going to be a tough matchup if they end up playing them, but I think that's the one we kind of want to see, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
Houston yesterday against the Twins. I watched most of that game as well, and it was just Jose Abreu and Jordan Alvarez just hitting dinger after dinger off Minnesota pitching.
mhm.
It was just Jordan Alvarez. Like, I think the stat was like he had like 5 or 6 like he has 5 or 6 hits in the series, and they're all extra base hits.
That's that's very impressive to be able to do that.
Yeah,
Some guys just get
yeah,
better in the postseason. It's like
yeah,
uh and that's kind of how you're judged, right? If you rise to the occasion in the postseason when the stakes are highest. So,
yeah.
we
He
sh
already has 4 home runs in this ALDS, and there have only been 3 games. So
yeah. Well, I know that the games are set to end on Saturday night. Is that right? For
yep,
the divisional
yeah.
series?
Any game fives will be on Saturday. Yep.
Okay. And then we're going to be looking to rock out an episode for you guys on Monday that's going to break down the ALCS, NLCS, so that way you guys will get some good coverage on us breaking down those two games and
Yeah.
the matchups that go into it. But listen, we'll knock out some fantasy stuff and then we can wrap up for the day.
Yeah.
Let the kids go home early. So in fantasy football, some good waiver wire pickups you may want to look at. KJ Osborne, obviously with Minnesota with Justin Jefferson out. We didn't mention that, but him hitting IR, I just don't know if they're going to try to rush him back, and they don't really have any sort of incentive to do that. If this was a playoff team right
No.
now, maybe it'd be different, but um, I'm also not fully. I know there was talks before about Kirk Cousins possibly getting traded to maybe the Jets or another team and stuff, but he's got a no trade clause. So unless he goes in there and waives that, like the one thing I will say, I know you're not really fond of him on the football field in terms of the decision making he does, but when it comes to being a businessman, this guy's one of the most brilliant people in the NFL in terms of being able to set himself up with good contracts. So, uh,
Yeah.
I don't know, unless he sees an opportunity to be able to go somewhere else, but I really think he likes this team. I really do. So I don't
Yeah.
think he's going to want to leave, but if they're, 1-9, I can't see Jefferson coming back, right? Like I don't see it this year.
And
Um,
Jefferson doesn't have any incentive to come back. Like,
no,
there's talks that he's angling for that extension, which rightfully so. Pay that man, just give that man a blank check.
yeah.
Honestly, but Minnesota's not hasn't given him the extension he's angling for. So, like, it's really not in his best interest either to
I know they
to
were.
come back early.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping to be able to see a little more of Jordan Addison during this time, maybe, and
Yeah.
KJ Osborne would be a suitable guy. No one's suitable for JJ, but he'd be an all right guy to be able to step in and plug into your lineup there. So,
Yeah.
um,
And they still have Hawkinson as well. I think Minnesota's offense will be all right.
yeah, I think they'll be okay. Talk about another offense that took a hit, the Miami Dolphins. So, Jeff Wilson,
Ooh.
yeah, Jeff Wilson's another guy to keep an eye on. Now, a lot of people probably have forgotten about this guy in fantasy because he's been on the IR since the beginning of the season, but with Achan ended up, I think they're going to be putting him on the IR. I know he's out with an injury right now,
Yeah.
a knee injury. It seems like that's where he's headed. I would definitely have my eyes on Jeff Wilson if someone in your league was sleeping on him, anything like that. Definitely look to pick this guy up because he's definitely going to be splitting carries with. You've got Mostert there, and then there's another guy. I'm brain farting right now. I can't remember.
Oh, Chris Brooks.
Oh, okay. So,
Chris Brooks. Yeah.
thanks, man. So,
Yeah. I imagine Mozart is going to see most of the carries, though.
yeah, I think so
So,
too. And he's had a great start to the year, man. He really has. So, I think they're going to be okay there. But Jeff Wilson, another guy to keep your eyes on. Marvin Mims, and this is a guy that I was kind of high on before, but definitely look to pick this guy up. It's been slow so far for him in Denver, but if you look at the big plays that they've had in Denver, I think he's got like 9 out of the 10. Any catches over 20 yards, like this guy's dominating, but he only gets 2 catches a game. Like I think honestly, if you see Judy or Cortland Sutton get traded, this is a guy I'm looking at right away. So definitely a good guy to keep your eye on. And the last one I was going to say is Jonathan Mingo. Now he's starting to get used to the NFL. His stats are picking up. He's starting to develop into an NFL receiver with the help of Bryce Young. And you're even seeing it last week. He had more catches and more targets than he has in weeks prior. I definitely think this is a guy you want to keep your eye on. A big-bodied guy, quick receiver. I think he's going to be a good guy to be able to snag off the waiver wire. Even if he rides your bench for a week or two, you could see some real production from him in the next few weeks here. So that's it. That's all I got for those guys and stuff. So anything else you want to cover before we wrap up?
no, just some news that did break today. HN, they did put on the IR today. They
Uh,
also put Anthony Richardson on the IR today as well.
yeah, I saw that, man. That's
Yeah.
crushing to
So,
see that, but man, hopefully he's able to figure it out because that guy is awesome to watch play. It
yeah.
just he's just not awesome to watch get hurt. That's a rough thing to watch. So
Two
hope
injuries already in his young career. So,
yeah, hopefully they're able to get that figured out and he can ready the ship on that. So but
yeah.
yeah, I guess we'll wrap up here. So I just want to say, thank you everyone for the support. We hope you have a great weekend watching some football, some postseason baseball as well. Remember, we're going to be back on Monday providing you AL and NL championship coverage. So I know Al's really
Yeah,
looking
boy.
forward to that.
Oh, I'm
I
hyped.
I am too, and I'm really hoping that I'm not going to spend the whole episode crying. So please let my Braves get it done.
Yeah.
But for real, guys, if you like it, if you love it, drop a comment. We've already gotten a few. We like them, we appreciate them, and those that we don't like in the comments, we promise we'll get back to you with something salty to send back to you. So,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
if there's anything going on, let us know. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video as well. You can email us at thepulsewa@gmail.com. And again, you can find me on Twitter at Willie Creeman FF and on Twitch at Willie Creeman. So thank you so much, Al. I love you, bro. Another great night, man. We did it, number 15.
Yeah, man. I love you too, buddy. And it's been an honor.
Absolutely. Listen, you take care. I'll see you soon.
All right. See you soon, buddy.
Peace.